Divine blue light, sudden, ungraspable nomadics for John Coltrane. Not as phantom blinding, but the soils of Mount Meru, as quantum, as perpetual, as interdimensional kindling. Its hemispheres colliding as bricolage, as osmosis, as sonic notation, alive as sonic cometary phantoms, understood into themselves as stratospheric particulates, not merely as tense foundational structures, as a pronoun to be levied as simple sonic ramification. You understood this to be in the infinity of your heart, to be microscopic musical grammar, not unlike phosphates, as a syntax of symmetry, resounding as an obverse mirroring of chords, analogous to 16th notes, rising and scattering of their own accord, much like the residue from diamonds that bake, not simply shrill supplication as noise, but as spectral realms of themselves, being sonic blinding bodies, let rise and loop and gather themselves on the other side of themselves, not as artifact or translated merger, but as exploration that summons, so that the sonic never wizens by pursuing entangled osmosis as complex utopian turquoise. And it was on this plane that you and Dolphy squared private comment into thrilling electrical prophecy that both forged and scrambled light so that amperage split apart and scattered across soil as interregnum, being blizzards of grammar not merely emitted from bodies, but sound as hail from unknown wizardry that sired sonic thoughts and streams, understanding such flow as transmuted acre. Can such emit itself from sounding boards of dust, never attempting to lean on criminal piety, all the while ignited by sonic invisibility, as subdivided notation, as darkened gradient, as chain reaction? Coltrane, this evokes its merit as spontaneous rotation, and from your collective eye, a spontaneous emission of notes as you both assembled the once constructed Delilah, its fragile figurines ignited as from curious poles on Saturn being ionized rotations spun from Rashid Ali, beckoning motifs from light, from minuses of hail that emit themselves anecdotal grammar. I am thinking of your sound alive as chronic pre-character, as limitless pre-clusters and figments, as sonic and parallel to themselves, as functioning domain, as rhythm being astral space sired, as simultaneous visions of itself. I think of the songbook that was Disney, its apparitional proportion via chronic disappearance that reappears and spins its own subversion of itself. Not merely terrestrial subset of itself, of its anguish and its motives, aligned to rhetoric that blindsided and lifts as former body by vibration, other than the anguish motives that attempt to leap from protracted sterility.
Last Utopian. Moon at day observes the migration of all that precedes and creates you. Castor and Pollux, Nikolai Gogol, David Bowie, raised by your apotheosis, race orbitless, shaping from out there an exosphere, an ear canal, tracing your global travels, winters and springs. Earth is not finished, it's your friends who are finished when they give up on Earth and you as lost. You wish to populate the world with serene figures, near-life experiences, but you are tired of being last utopian, desolated, body ruined, no place or idea of origin, slick trail of selves left behind among others cold, noisy, thirsty. Trust-thin antenna, hairs along ears curve, entrance of cave or hive, while you, last utopian, are at the mercy of surveillance and absence. It's unknown what takes the place of loss, but it will take place, so concentrate. Adjust to the constraint of being unable to read future poets now. It's just not possible to read them backwards, so they greet you where you are today. In the desert, red sun, your last light, your relentless seducer sets on western streets boulders. SPF 60 and you will still peel under recollected San Francisco sun. When the security guard in the Valley of Kings invites you to photograph Osiris's portrait and climb the sarcophagus, do not photograph Osiris and do not climb the sarcophagus. Just don't. Don't trust him. Apollo the sun burns and peels you because he, unlike some you desire, is aching for your worship. He approaches you in Udaipur, New York, Prague, Rome, smiling like open doors, saying no more bed bugs, chlamydia, friends' air mattresses, jet lag, brain dead office, bike wreck, concussion. He brings you humility. You're little more than the eel wriggling to escape the sizzling wok in a viral cooking video oceanside, lid rattling over you with scallions and veggies, black apron chef fumbling comically for clicks in the merciless algorithm. Enter life elsewhere before life enters yours without your permission. Simple equations, atom clusters, friendships. Ask any atom why it does what it does, and go ask a unicorn, selkie, chupacabra, nymph, minotaur. Sense all identity reduced to fragments. It's like a character from Ovid whose frayed, bleeding roots land abroad. But hold on, you are last utopian. Your investigations establish a self while affirming life, like your Wittgenstein sent as ambassador from the 21st century to the feet of Shankara in the classroom of ego death. The language of spirit is expressed in prepositions you say. Spirit is above, below, next to, and one hopes within. In defense of the self, you suggest that joy underlies every living thing once conditions for survival are assured. Watch the viral video of dolphin greeting humans, or the tranquility and delight of mystics, or the joy of children and dogs. All these are faith's basis, with William Blake and Anthony, that curly-haired boy of unshakably good cheer met in a Baltimore gay bar. His mom said he was happy from the day he was born. You had been a walking negation, then melted before his smile. Remember, you've been kissed soft and wet on the lips by Iggy Pop. A sense of self initiates joy of encounter, curiosity, interaction. You hate and love, that matter is essential, to be greeted by others astonished, a consolation. It's so California, but let's write it. The sense of self must not be extinguished. It should be named your name, which is the transient name of anyone, even those you loathe and risk becoming. You're laid on your back by mushrooms up in Joshua Tree Boulders, February 2021. Delight in identifying with a repertoire of expressions in Kafka and Chopin. Your smile of recognition spans centuries, continents. It's a language like those not making art, but instead living life. I mean animals. Two ravens circle overhead, eyeing you for dinner. They think you're dead when you're emerging from a trance that was without feeling, without content. You met attributeless being, the animating force not in the eyes, but that by which the eye sees. As Judy Garland sang, that's entertainment. You're going slack and gray, face it, at risk of losing these sensations to which sex can rarely compare, though at times it exceeds imagination, and to which Edward Gibbon can rarely compare, though he indicates your decline, which is the fall of America taking place in you. It was enough when you purchased in that swarmed Kolkata market the gray-blue shirt that reads Last Utopian with a comma at the end. And that comma indicates the addressee you are becoming, handing over your rupees. It's Christmas Eve alone, among frantic yet cheerful bottlenecked crowds. They're wearing Santa hats, Easter bunny ears, devil horns. It's like every American holiday is happening at once.
The delicacy of embracing spirals duplicates a foreign tendency to graph the landscape. It dizzies itself to become peer pressured, grows through movement as time, the foot following the other, makes sound steps like wind howling, all I ever have be, the roundabout draining through the concept of a mind. Her brain bears logic when magic decides to leave the room. I'm barely in my body. I forget to conjure it here. I hone frequencies, out of possibilities, masquerading as Sundays. I take up space. I take up moons. I swallow ecstasies. I grin big. Forget a face is what trains the world's eyes to fancy elegies, a meteor crash of a serious self. Like how drunk and high and heartbroken the streets gon' leave me every weekend. Laugh at the minstrel showcase of a conscious being. Who you gonna be today? The tenacity fingering fiction of the human condition. Whose face you gonna sing today? Linger to bellow without teeth. Align to a cosmic counseling. Fly not to think. Blend not to blur. The lines of irrefutable irony. The x-ray of a melancholic poet. Drug-addled, drunken demon, dreary, drowning, desperate without cause. Who you gonna be today? Greet them at the astral. Tell them it was all a lie. Tell them this form is a second. Tell them to dread the spiraling, to enhance the spiraling, to force the spiraling, to manifest the spiraling, to embrace the spiraling, to distract the spiraling, to ride the spiraling, to stop the spiraling, to obliviate into madness and laugh at the fickle trickster who knows when to disappear into it all. I forget to laugh during the descent, the same self, the same question, take it all too seriously, the iridescent subject, the channeler, the menace, the griot, the society, and the society barking back at itself, bricks a dozen talks, only to kill the self. I was never here. I am never here. The here is never here. The moment counts down to consent. Singularity in the electrodes of a heart monitor, charred teeth, charred soul, frozen nodes of fate awaiting the weight of its own feather and heart. Who you gon' be today at the center of infinite, the body proclaimed a black girl child. Each phase of puberty pronounced a testimony of humanity, yet the audience wasn't sold on the performance. Perchance, power be in the voice of the child, a pistol trigger warning the child wields an entity of fury through gritted teeth. The eye, it be collapsing. A primordial judgment to step foot on porous ground, philosophical unto extortion, burning passion unto exploitation, violent for preservation. Be the rage, don't perform it. Wear the rage, don't let it get stuck. Break the rage, don't fold it. Fiend the rage, don't fantasize. Surrender the rage, don't personalize. Drift the rage, don't escape. Stir the rage, don't let it build. Feminize the rage, don't father it. Transcend the rage, don't let it become you. Sculpt fallacies only to tell the truth. Be human always, but godless to your enemies. Be an enemy and reveal your palms to none. Appeal to no one, and let your greatness parade for the masses. All the forces testifying for me to spit on. Labs forget that my gums have been numb for a pair of 8 weeks. I witness my foes, the road to bloodlust. Every tasteless and varied attempt to harm my spirit will make a star out of me. I never needed nor wanted it in the first place. No Machiavellian setup can humble the God behind my tongue. Who you gonna be tomorrow? Reveal too much. Say nothing at all. Fish for compliments in a sea of sharks. Dress finely only to let the wolves rip you to shreds. Prance in their clothing every Sunday. Become a dusted metaphor or two. Pretend to be a writer. Fancy yourself a rock star, scoff at the ridiculousness of a principled poet, hear the spoken word slam, yet barely speak at all, disappear into the key of destroy flat. Gaslight the imagination, gaslight your mama, gaslight your friends, gaslight the city, gaslight the you that plays Heyoka on stage, gaslight the audience, gaslight the one man without a soul who claims to be your gaslight the audience again, gaslight the city again, pretend to have a name again, pretend to have a name again. Pretend to have a name again, pretend to have a name again, transcend the spiral, die fiercely only to be born again. In the margins of this third eye, a monarch butterfly exercises the feeling of you to be blossomed out of chaos. Honor the softness that craves to emanate from you. I care enough to observe the spectacle of myself. Charred innocence lingers its eyes into slumber. Camouflage youth impertinent to maturation. Fly north to eucalyptus. Forget the previous iteration of a soul's territory. Aim to testify upwards at the sky. Build this life as a temporary home. Chime exhales. Brew a prolonged death. Cry for no more here and what was and what is and what migrates an endless topography of a heartbeat. The truest shape of me conquers into regeneration. There are no values stationary in this grace, just an ounce of face, daring to smile itself into oblivion. In order to heal, accept the close proximity to annihilation. Your nearest deathbed is a mirror. It looks a lot like my eyes. Depart from ego, design a framework composed of lotus bloom, and let your cynicism dissipate. Magic.
I'm Micah Ballard. This is from a new book called Muddy Waters. Cajun One adds, I was raised supernatural, cruising every body into an impossibility to triangulate the gaze. I stay inside the carnage, a smog rainbow, already prawn to cement coffins and cheekbones. I dedicate their priestly craniums by depopulating popular opposites, my coastal parlance zombified on the lookout, and a mental repast of nightclub concerns. The Second Coming campaign shapes the evil into sure oblivion, forever offering, how does one get out of the guest list? Already received the Rome Prize for the most out-of-print books. I am loyal and punctual to the sound, kind of oblivious, but do keep score. Ultra dab. Sensitivity is my virtue, so I morph into all things, wobbling around in my wonderful burnt skin, talking in innuendos to bay with the cadence of unflattering daylight. In this congregation of zombies with bare midriffs seeking acquisition, I apply some blush and mascara and give us some life. Prone to vest up, I evoke another vortex and hug the air instead, then jump back into this wireless abyss of popular opposites, which you're totally not, but you're not. That's the sound of the Fulton 5 going by in San Francisco on McAllister, which is not on Fulton Street. Balmy vapors. Unseen beasts, gleefully tawdry and average leech, vaguely stunned, smearing the walls of life-study classes. I hold a new torch and record the sounds of darting eyes. Eventually cloaked as a perfect surrogate for my Second Coming campaign, I never ghost, just track their smudges. Like me, some of them vanish into isolation because the franchise comes first and spaces grow between atmospheres. I don't even know what that means anymore, but I hear it as it hears me, like physiognomic forfeiture or a need to reclaim and activate pleasure as a way to annul significance. In the jungle mansion, you just try to leak through doors, say hello, call it temporary, and again, try to leak the gaze. Extra ushers with more buses. In this new book of telekinetic survival clips, I'm glorified by outsiders, from an inhabiting embodiment. Whoever passes first, don't apply too much rouge like they did to Mama. The hotel bed hurt, but I love a newfound understanding. I only got stabbed a little, some sticks and pokes with a weak big pen. I offered free ones from my homemade tattoo gun, mixing my blood with theirs, reciprocal manners to hone in and break down. If I have to, I'll make an excellent cadaver and an adequate victim. A repeat offender of imagination who vanishes into isolation, into another beyond, and conflate the gimmicks for algorithmic salvation. Secret cargo. Pretty erratic, talking senselessly to myself. Is that you? I can't tell anymore. When I lay down, I dream of writing emails or having phone calls. I say all these things to convince you of something that I don't care about, and that hurts, and I'm sorry, but it's my job to convince the both of us that the world is okay, and it's not, and we know this, but you're trying to find a way out like me, yet I get to sell it to you to make a living like you want to, too.
At the Haywire Brake Hotel for Lamentia. The poet comes on in the face of a felt rock, holds gas to an explanation. His texts form a litmus history, hits the mills for his syzygy. The falls have to get stared at, replaces the word nice with a loop, explains marriage with a tentacle, asks how long this has been going on. Wanted to be a lawyer, a horseman, an enchantress, but now he can't. Pumps many operas of cream, the deaf bastards. Holds a broken chocolate on the tip of his tongue. Has never been to Shell Beach. Asks, have you been found? Writes with a special eraser. Asks for Castro the Barrelhead. Grew up on insane Linkies. It's jealous out there. His first book was called Open Up. Was conceived in a Studebaker up on blocks, drew the Lovecraft circle, heard a cat say, wow. Could have been played by Joe Turkel, was heard to say, it's time. Then all the light bulbs had to be changed. World of little glare. An accident, he smashed the fish, then shelved the beach, dropped a weak telephone, avoided spats, the dark were coming, an autumnal payback, bets only through time, rearranged architecture, outgrowths unrecognizable. Hey, your husband's daughter is his doctor. You must know this. He was carrying a case the last you knew. He may be too real, even silent for himself, for your grasp of hazard. The store window dummies speak to him now. They have given him the accordion chair, a face on the cattle head, a corridor instead, glad to see a man without glasses, the ways in which this world passes. I had a seat up there. First, you'll enjoy 3,000 pounds of jelly. Then this woman with a green face and a pair of razor blades. As they say, the moving finger writes 9. Under no circumstances put that phone down. A Yokohama butterfly you know or you don't. The bath salt hotel, your room just went up. Inspector Best Service winds up just below, smolders and the like sayings, dusty borderlands, large snake, a tooting horn at last, clippings in a beach packet, temperamental though. Scenes in which you don't get to see his face. Just who is this punk lancer? A disturbing militant, cardboard witness, leading edge of the future. Here's my hand on it, a backhand actually.